It looks like Nancy Pelosi is not done with politics. In fact, the former speaker just announced today that she is running for re-election. This is after the longtime California Congresswoman stepped down from Democratic leadership at the end of the last Congress. She wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, "Now more than ever, our city needs us to advance San Francisco values and further our recovery. Our country needs America to show the world that our flag is still there with liberty and justice for all. That is why I'm running for re-election and respectfully ask for your vote. Signed, Nancy." Well, that's nice. San Francisco values, what are those? Like homeless people all over your streets?
That's big news, though.
It is big news. She's 83 years old.
Speakers rarely stay on
after they're done with the speakership.
So.
That's very true. So she's 83. Mitch McConnell's 81. Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old. Joe Biden, 80.
Oh, they're older than Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's somewhat shockingly, given some of the things we've seen from him. But nonetheless, we have a little bit of a gerontocracy going on here. And I've seen over the past couple of years that, voters that I've spoken to and people who follow politics closely as well, people who are involved in the process, look at this and say, how on earth are these people still in office? Should we have age limits? Should we have term limits? Because the idea that our country is essentially run by a select handful of incredibly old people is kind of concerning.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear Republicans talk about, restrictions and limits on, on jobs. But
well,
I would just say that we have term limits. They're called elections. We should put our faith in the electorate. If you don't, then probably you should get out of politics, or not watch or participate in politics. But that's how it's done. The states control elections, and the voters choose. The voters know what they're getting. I think the problem is treating voters like they're not smart enough to understand the person that they're voting for is old. I always thought about it actually as, you think about some of the people who were reelected to office after they've committed sort of egregious mistakes in public. Let's probably shouldn't take this example, but as a Democrat, but like Teddy Kennedy, the people of Massachusetts had the opportunity to keep voting for him after what happened at Chappaquiddick, and at some point you have to respect the will of the voters.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I actually somewhat agree with you in the sense that if there's someone who's doing a good job and their constituents like them and they feel like they've been representing their district or their state well, then they should have the opportunity to continue voting for them. But I also feel torn with this increasing average age of the Congress, especially when we look back at the founding of our country and how young so many of those thinkers were. There's definitely something to be said for the benefit of having fresh ideas and fresh voices. Mm-hmm. We see that very frequently the younger members of both parties have very different tenors and very different ideologies than the people who are in power. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there is just this grip on power that a lot of people refuse to get rid of. Yeah. And in the cases of people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they make a lot of money by being members of Congress.
Well, they don't make money being members of Congress.
Oh, sure they do.
First of all, they both have wealthy spouses. Let's put it that way.
And they both are very good at reading the stock market too.
They both married well.
They're experts at it.
They both married well. Nancy Pelosi's been in politics since she was in her mother's womb. So she was campaigning when she was 3 years old for her father.
That's a good thing you didn't abort her.
She's Catholic. They don't.
But she's pro-choice.
She is, as a public servant who serves not just Catholics, but all people, even people who don't believe in religion. So you can be a Catholic and go to church every Sunday or twice a week, like the current president, and still believe in the right for women to be able to choose what to do with their own bodies.
The Catholic Catechism is very clear about the issue of abortion, and it is.
So all the churches that Joe Biden goes to around the country, should they stop serving him in communion?
Yes, they should.
Okay.
They absolutely should, because
the Catholic Church doesn't seem to have a problem with divorce anymore, or
well, you're not allowed to get remarried in the church if you're
else.
divorced, so they do have a problem with that. And the issue with taking communion, if you're publicly supporting abortion, is that by publicly supporting abortion, you're committing a mortal sin. And if you go and take communion, you are compounding that mortal sin on top of each other. So yes, I believe anybody who knows about Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi's positions on abortion and allows them to receive communion, it is your duty as a priest to prevent your parishioners from compounding that mortal sin. Absolutely.
I think we should keep religion as far away from government as possible.
Approaches governance. Everybody approaches governance with a moral ideology.
That's fine.
Just
That's
because
fine.
some people's is religious doesn't make it any less valuable
when you are president,
any less.
You are president of everybody, not just Catholics and not just people of faith. You're president of everybody, and if you start leaning on your faith to make decisions, then we have a big problem.
But if my moral clarity comes from my faith and somebody else's moral clarity comes from their atheism or whatever other worldview that they have, why is my moral ideology any less valid towards informing my political positions than that person?
It's not. They're equal. That's the point of having a president who's president of everybody. And that's the point of making decisions not based on personal ideology, personal belief. You make a decision on the best interests, the security of your country and of the people that put you where you are, who are not monolithic.
But the people vote for you based on your beliefs and based on what you say you're going to do.
Based on your public beliefs, based on what you're going to do for them. It has nothing to do with your religion.
But if
and neither should any law.
But if your religion is informing you of what you think is best for people, then you naturally can't separate out your personal morality with the positions that you take publicly that you think are for the good of the country or the people.
I disagree, because what I might think is right for me is not right for you. So I'm not going to pass laws or vote for laws that I think don't benefit the country as a whole, or I'm going to educate you as to why I think I'm providing a service for the entire country, not just one group of people.
This just doesn't necessarily work, though, because let's say, for example, that we all believe that murder is wrong. Somebody who wants to kill somebody is going to say, no, your law banning murder is not good for me. So why does it matter if you come to the decision that murder is wrong based on whatever moral framework you operate from, and mine comes from the 10 Commandments? Either way, we agree that murder is wrong, and just because some people disagree with us doesn't mean we're not going to pass laws about it because we want to be legislators for everybody.
Government makes the law for everybody. The 10 Commandments might make up your personal moral compass, but they don't mean anything to a lot of other people.
The point is how you arrive at a moral decision, whether it's from a religious framework or not, should not determine whether or not that's a valid way of deciding policy.
Right there is the age-old question and the long argued division over this issue. Is it a moral issue, or is it a public issue? If it's a public issue, then it affects everybody. If it's a personal issue, you can have your personal view. But when it comes to the role of government and enacting law, you are enacting law for everybody, not just one group. Your personal feelings may go into how you decide something.
That's my point.
May play
exactly
a role.
My point.
May play a role, but you are making decisions not just based on your own personal faith. You're making it based on the service you're providing to the country.
But if your personal faith tells you that abortion is murder, and then you turn around and you go in public and you say, but I permit some people to murder because I don't want to decide for them, that's hypocritical.
Well, first of all right, this is going down an abortion rabbit hole.
It is.
I don't know if we want to go there. I don't know if any man should be telling any woman what to do with their bodies. I certainly don't want to. I want women to make that choice for themselves and their doctor. I really don't want government deciding that. So that's just me. I want government out of my bedroom, all right? And I want it away from my body.
You're certainly free to hold that position.
Thank you. So are you.
Anyway, Nancy Pelosi running for re-election.
Good for her.
She's
good for the Democratic Party. She's good for San Francisco.
Oh boy.
I'm happy she's staying around.
More rising after this.